Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming to this Cellnex Telecom event at the Mobile World Capital booth at the Mobile World Congress 21. My name is Albert Cuesta. I'm a tech journalist from Barcelona, and I'm going to be moderating this, conducting this session with these two gentlemen on site and two other people who are remote, as is usual in this area. We are going to focus this session on private networks and their applications in industry applications, and we're going to be focused on Edzcom, which is a Cellnex company. Edzcom, as you saw in the brief video before, is a pioneer and a European market leader in edge connectivity, which is one of the key words of this event, of the Mobile World Congress. And a specific feature of Edzcom is that the company is dedicated specifically, solely, to design, build, and operate private 4G and 5G networks. After that, Mikko, please, will you explain us when to do 4G, when to do 5G? As you saw also in the video, the thing with private networks is basically that you have high performance connectivity for planning the enterprise resources, for automations, for robotic, and for real-time remote monitoring. This contributes to overall productivity of companies, of industries, basically, and offers them continuity and security for their operations, specifically their business critical operations, which is, I think, it's the main point of all of this. If you need all of these features, Edzcom would be one of your main or single point of contact to achieve all that. Edzcom is now a Cellnex company. It was acquired by Cellnex about 1 year ago, something like that. And maybe Valenti would like to explain us why you did that. And maybe now it's time to welcome our remote panelists. Jean-Christophe Simon, he's the, let me read it, he's the director of the MGA Tech Lab at MGA Technologies. Good afternoon, Jean-Christophe.
Good afternoon.
Everything works, nice. We have also with us Bella Virac, who is a senior consultant of basically of Industry 4.0 at Arthur D. Little. Good afternoon, Bella.
Good afternoon.
You hear us, okay. And then with us on site we have, I start from my left. I have with us Valenti Roca, who is the head of mission critical and private network business at Cellnex Telecom. Good afternoon, Valenti. And also Mikko Uusitalo, sorry. We were in a previous panel and I made the same mistake.
No worries, no worries. Good afternoon.
And Mikko is the managing director at Edzcom, which is, as I said, a company focused on private networks and mission critical. Maybe we should start with you, Mikko. Can you tell us about Edzcom solutions and what's your value proposition?
Yes, of course. So let me start a little bit behind with some background. So if you look at the industrial customers that we have and technology and what's driving that, there are usually three things that they think basically day and night. One is how to grow the business, meaning how to be innovative to create new ways of doing things, generating more value. How to be more efficient, meaning operating differently, saving money, things like that. And in our environments, which are basically often heavy industries where we deal with the customers in critical situations, people's safety is very high on the agenda. So what we do is for use cases, we actually bring a network on site, on customer site, on premise. It is either a 4G or 5G network. Very similar to what Telefonica or big operators have nationwide. We have that sort of on-site wide at customer site, and we do the planning, the design, the operating of that network, and it can be either 4G or 5G. And in order to actually deploy that network, you need also spectrum, which is now widely available in most of the European countries, in the US and many developing countries. And the spectrum is sort of the key part of the secret source that we also can bring on the table or help customer to acquire. So with all that, we work with the customers and we help them to do different kind of use cases. And with those use cases, they usually improve the efficiency, they provide growth, or they improve the employee safety. So that's what we do in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the things that I find interesting of what you said is we have customers, which is a very important thing in this moment where everybody's talking about the customers that we will have. Now you already have customers. Maybe we can get into that later. But now I'd like to ask Valenti, why did you integrate? Why did Cellnex decide to integrate at the Edzcom into your business?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's very easy to explain, but we also need some background here for the audience because Cellnex is very well known, especially in Spain, as a mission-critical service provider. So we are providing this connectivity service for the police, these blue light services, for the last 20 years. And we as a team, we are very skilled in the public sector, but we had a lack of the industry, the enterprises. And at that time, and Edzcom still is the European leader, we identify Edzcom to be as this complementary part of Cellnex being the leader of the enterprise. So now we have both public sector and business sector or enterprise sector providing this, let's say, edge connectivity or mission critical and business critical connectivity. This is the rationale behind this acquisition.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now I have one for Jean-Christophe, which is, am I right if I say that MGA Tech is one of the Edzcom first customers? It's the first 5G customer, right?
Yeah, first 5G customer in France.
France.
I will let Jean-Christophe to talk about it a bit more, but thank you very much for your confidence and joining us today, Jean-Christophe.
Uh-huh. So, Jean-Christophe, what challenges did you find in terms of connectivity at MGA Tech that Edzcom is supposed to be solving?
Yes, in a few words, I will start by saying that at MGA Technologies, we are a custom machine tool design company, and we have delivered more than 1,000 machines worldwide in the last 40 years. The MGA Tech Lab is, for us, the ideal partner for innovative projects that are carried out in the Industry 4.0 field. And what we aim to do is to combine, the best of two worlds, the operational technology and the information technology sectors. In a factory, that's where you have to mix all these two domains. And we need to use a lot of transversal core specialties like automation, integration, robotics, mechatronics, testing, and human-machine interface. And actually, what is very important for us is to be able to mix this technology, to be able to implement the latest technologies where the network is involved, like, for example, when we have smart sensors, when we have data management and visualization systems, when we have connected and communicating machines like robots or cobots or all our machines that we design. That's where we need to have the best connectivity, and that's where our needs are the strongest. What we have to do also with our customers in the field of biopharmaceutical industry and the field of semiconductor industry, we have to help them to move to their digital transformation. So that we are, for us, a strong partner for them in this field. What is very important also, that's what I would like to point out, and why we need networks like 5G, is because we have very demanding customers. I mean, biopharma and semiconductor industries are very demanding partners, and what they want is for their high-value products, they want some reliability, and some security when they use augmented reality, big data, 3D softwares, when they use their cloud computing to operate their factories, when they want to be certain when they manufacture vaccine, for example, that there is high level of cyber security, of data integrity, when they want to use, for example, digital twins, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but when they use digital twins, they want to be sure that the network is efficient and there is no lag when they operate on the 24 hours, 7 days a week. They want to be sure that the data integrity is there. And all these needs for us are very, we need to provide these solutions for them. And that's why we consider that 5G private systems could be a nice opportunity, a nice system for us.
Mm-hmm. But you are doing things, you're going to be doing things with 5G that you couldn't with 4G, is that right?
Yes, and what we want to do as well is to challenge, 5G, be sure that it can of course, be better than 4G, but why not be better than Wi-Fi system or any other systems that we may have in our tech lab. We want also to put in place some showcase, some specific situations where we need to have a very strong, data stream, or very, very, very strong, specifications from our customers on the data integrity. So in these topics, we consider that so far we had not enough, I would say, security level. So we expect that with 5G, we will reach a higher level of integrity and security.
I'm sure that the industry will follow your case very closely. Bella, as a consultant, I understand. I suppose that many times you got asked about should I go with an operator, an integrator. What's the difference between buying a private network solution from a private network specialist such as Edzcom and other providers? We're not hearing you.
You're on mute.
No,
hello. I think this is a really relevant. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. Thank you for the question. I think it's really relevant, and I think we should dissect that question a little bit, because it really, there is a big difference whether you go for a specialist like Edzcom that does nothing but design mission-critical networks and operate them for the client in the client context, and they do so in many countries and have experience in how to design, build, and eventually operate and source all the components that are needed, and they're also open to integrate whatever is the best fitting technical solution for the customer. And that's in its own right a fairly unique value proposition. When you look at many operators are confined to their country, they're confined to their standard processes and so on. So in my view, it's a bit like saying if you go to a specialist, is there a benefit to be had? And it's very clearly the specialist will be tailored better and fitting better to the needs, and the effect, in essence, will be a higher level of data privacy and of autonomy and flexibility and reliability and catering to the customer specifics of the network solution. In the past, you would basically talk about network connectivity from mostly a point of view of throughput, and some RFPs already include availability, right? But frankly, throughput is only one performance criteria, right? And availability has many components to it. It's availability, mean time between failures, availability of spare parts, maintenance of the solution over an entire investment life cycle with replacement parts and so on. But then you get security, scalability, integration with your own monitoring technologies that you may have in your factory, and eventually automation. And when you combine these six criteria, automation, availability, security, scalability, performance, and management, you'll find very quickly that if you go with specialists, they'll have a significantly better solution than operators do. That's not to say that operators don't cater to that. Operators scale differently and can also integrate better with with their wide area networks, which obviously they have, and the numbering ranges. So depending on the case and on your specific needs as an enterprise, both are viable. But if you ask me where the tailored is better, those would be the 6 dimensions I mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Bella. There's something, Mikko, that you mentioned before that caught my mind, which is you talk about spectrum. How is the spectrum situation developing in Europe? Because I understand that the situation is very different between countries. How is that, and what are you doing to solve that issue for your customers?
Yes, the spectrum is a bit like ticket to a party. So if you don't have the ticket, you will not get to the party. So you need the spectrum indeed to do this. Having used 4G and 5G technologies, you typically need a licensed spectrum. If you look at,
I think we're going to hear you more if you put
here,
your mic on in the front.
Yeah.
This is very disturbing.
I picked up this design mask this morning, so I hope it's not too bad. But anyway, so the spectrum is indeed a vital for this kind of business, and luckily, many of the countries, US first, some years ago with CBR spectrum. Now France, Germany, the Nordics, UK have actually, the governments, the regulators have decided to allocate spectrum for private network use. So the trend is there, and I think it's like a snowball, so it will continue. I think Poland is working to release that, etc. So typically, then it's available for regulator. If it's not available from regulator, then we either have to agree with an operator partner, that luckily now as part of Cellnex we have many, and or we need to work with customer to put more pressure on government and regulator to start thinking about releasing spectrum. So there are multiple ways of getting into that, and it's not available everywhere yet, but we are doing a strong push with customers, lobbying, with working with our operator partners in partnering, etc.
Mm-hmm. Sorry if this is a too much journalistic question, but would Edzcom consider to bid in spectrum auctions?
Well, as being part of Cellnex, for sure not. Right now.
That's right.
I mean,
exactly.
So you're going to use the spectrum that has been won by operators.
Yeah, and I think it's not really a relevant question for private networks because, well, at least today, because the spectrum is auctioned typically nationwide, and it's very pricey, very expensive to acquire it nationwide. And as we need it only for our customers in certain selected locations, economically it would not be vital to acquire a nationwide license. And luckily the regulators are allocating the local spectrum for private networks use, usually based on the area or size of the use. And so that's the way we would acquire it.
I was asking that because in Germany, for instance, there are two companies who won a slice of spectrum, two private companies that are using for their own right.
It is a question of price at the end of the day. I mean, we acquired some spectrum when we started 7 years ago in Finland, but it was virtually free at the time.
By the way, in an industrial application, is there a difference between low frequency, middle band, and millimeter wave?
Yes. So to simplify, the answer to that is that the higher the spectrum, say 26 gigahertz or 3.5 gigahertz, the smaller the area of the reach, depending, of course, on the power. But often there is more that spectrum available, the wider band, and that means you get higher throughput. The lower the band, usually the higher the reach of the signal, and therefore the area coverage is higher.
And that depends on the application.
It depends on the application, but usually for private networks use, from 2.6 upwards, so higher bands.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Valenti, how do the solutions differ depending on or off premises? I mean,
Okay, well, this is very much linked to the topics that Bella and Jean-Christophe mentioned. So the customers, 90% of the use cases that are demanding are about criticality. So that means that to provide these use cases, this communication, this edge connectivity, you need to be able to provide everything on-prem. That means you can control better the infrastructure, low latency, etc., etc. Again, is about criticality. When customers they want a kind of use cases that are not so critically, like pure voice communication, something like that, there comes we can talk about hybrid solutions, and perhaps part of the infrastructure is not needed to be on premises, right? But again, we are talking about business critical, mission critical, so we need reliability, we need security, so that means that we need everything on premise. This is something that the customers are demanding.
I understand. By the way, you mentioned voice communications and the criticality. Before in the introduction, you mentioned that you have been a provider of mission critical voice communications.
Yes, for the police.
For the police for more than 20 years. Is that going to evolve? Because we're talking about technologies like Tetra, which is one Cellnex has been providing before. I think that before Cellnex was called Cellnex.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is this kind of application going to evolve to cellular networks such as 5G and 4G?
Yes, sure. The answer is yes. We have to say that for the public administration, these technologies will continue for a long time, but for sure, the users, the police, fire brigades, this kind of users, they also need new functionalities, new features. And voice is part of them, but also if we jump to more innovative, let's say, use cases like this famous drone allocation or this push to video, other kind of stuff, for sure, Tetra is not enough. So you need new technologies like 4G, 5G, for instance, and this is something that our customers are starting to put on the table, and we are discussing with them how to join them in this evolution, for sure.
Right.
I have to say, if I may, Albert, that
course.
also in the enterprise, in the past years, they are using also these Tetra technologies. I mean, utilities, power plants, they are used to use these Tetra technologies.
I mentioned police because you talked about...
Exactly.
That's right.
We are also providing these services to these kind of companies, and they for sure they have, let's say, more strong needs to jump in these, let's say, broadband services, in this digitization path.
I understand. Jean-Christophe, what would be the impact on having reliable connectivity for an enterprise?
What I can say in our case is that we are very happy to be the first in France to have a private Edzcom 5G network, because very clearly the fact that we had one was a big added value for a partner that we had an innovation project with recently. And because it was a way to show to them that we had a kind of sandbox where we could play, where we could test their systems where they need to have, as you said, mission critical. I mean, even for the pharmaceutical industry, mission critical systems where we could ensure them that there will be some reliability on the data, where there would be some no leaks. So when we talk about cyber security, I mean, we could say, oh, of course, it's taken into account because we have a 5G system. When we talk about remote maintenance, when we talk about clean design and all these, I would say, specifications that in the pharmaceutical or semiconductor industry people would like, I mean, as being mandatory when we want to start a project, we feel very confident because we can say now, okay, yes, we have this kind of assurance that the data integrity will be preserved and thanks to this 5G network. So it's a big asset for us. And it's a way to, again, to step up and to show that we are at the next level now and that we can answer to our clients' needs in a very proactive way and again, be up to date in terms of security and data integrity again.
Mm-hmm. Mikko, I see you're saying yes. Do you want to add something?
I usually answer to that question by saying that what happens when your kids are at home in the evening and you turn off the internet. So that's what happens when you have the reliable data connectivity. Now I agree with Jean-Christophe. I think they've been very thoughtful and thought leading in making that decision, and I hope it will serve them very well in their efforts with their customers, the pharma and semiconductor.
I have a kind of an open question for all four of you, which would be how the future connectivity needs for enterprises look like, and where is this market heading? So please feel free to go ahead. Maybe Bella wants to say something.
Certainly. I've written an entire report on the future of enterprise networking, and I think in the context of private networks, there's two things that are important. First, I see integration between networking and the compute workloads. And well, I mean, imagine the following. Imagine that your mobile private network or any network could predict that there's going to be congestion anticipated, say 100 milliseconds down the road. And say that then the network could signal this information back to the application, and the application would react in whatever form suitable, say, by throttling the video encoding rates in order to avoid congestion in the first place. So we're going to see this cross-OSI layer stack integration that will eventually enable a better integration between compute and networking. So that's one element. The second element I'd point to is that obviously as workloads move into cloud environments, now, the cloud is a method, it's not a place, and it's not a supplier. I don't, when I say cloud, I don't refer only to Azure and Amazon and Google and Cloud Platform and so on, but I refer to the method. You can have your Azure on-premise, you can have your Amazon on-premise, it's more a method. But as workloads migrate into cloud environments, networking will need to consider how to interact with cloud environments much more than it did in the past, both in the LAN, where the mobile private network sits, but also in the wide area network, where maybe slicing will sit, or where some of your classical wide area are there. And those to me will be the two immediate drivers that we're going to see over the next 1 to 3 years emerge further. And we talk to software people, they will confirm that they like to have better transparency on how the networking works, how to spawn traffic to multiple nodes and have it done in parallel and all that stuff. So that's going to come in. Looking a bit further, encryption technologies and quantum transmission or quantum computing becomes more critical and will rattle the industry a little bit. But for now, it's really 360 integration and cloud networking.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Bella. Valenti, how do you see this connectivity needs evolve?
Yeah, well, let me talk about a new concept that a lot of people now is talking about in the industry, which is called ENO, E-N-O, Enterprise Network Operator. That means that the enterprises, the industry, they are looking for a specialized, let's say, service provider to help them to build this path to the digitization. This is very important because connectivity today is 5G, tomorrow will be 6G, whatever. Connectivity is a key element for this digitization, this industry X.0. No? So we believe that Edzcom / Cellnex can be a relevant player here. Of course, with partners, we need partners. Also, like ADL. With ADL, we are going together to different, let's say, RFPs as a consultancy, a strategic advisor for some customers already. So We believe that this is, in the coming years, it will be a huge trend, and also linked to the spectrum. So it is very relevant that the regulators from each country are starting allocating a spectrum for the industry, because the industry is demanding this. I mean, Germany was the first, but we have UK, France, Netherlands, also Spain, Finland, Sweden will come. I mean, this trend, it seems that is unstoppable, and this is for the good of the society, right? So this is how we see this, how we see it from Edzcom.
Jean-Christophe, which is do you have a view about this, about the future evolution of connectivity?
Mute.
Oops.
You're on mute.
Sorry, what I would say is we don't know yet on our side, because what we expect to do at MGA Tech Lab is actually to create some new usage, I mean, new business case, use case of this 5G technology. So I would say we expect to have new, I would say, answers to industry needs. So. Of course, again, as I said, step up compared to 4G, but I'm sure that we don't know yet what will be the new best use case, and we'll see in 2 years from now, 1 or 2 years from now. So maybe next year I could tell you more.
Mikko, your time.
Yes, it's very difficult to predict the future, obviously. But what I love about tech and applying technology is that the evolution is really fast. The technology S-curves come and go. Now we already see things like Open RAN, things that are going to lower the cost side of the house for the core network or the radio network part, meaning that the value will move somewhere else. The value will, we think that value will move more on what kind of user experience you provide its customers, developing, let's say, layers of software and solutions on top of that. Some of the applications. So, I mean, one thing that's sure is that it's going to improve over time, and it's a continuous improvement loop. So that's why it's so exciting to work in this space.
Right. Gentlemen, I think maybe we have set aside time for questions from the audience. If there's somebody in the floor who wants to ask something to these four gentlemen, feel free to do that. We can show you a microphone. We can give you a microphone. Is there anyone? No? I have another one then. Do private networks require always a specifically licensed spectrum? I mean, does a private network always has to be LTE or 5G? Or do you contemplate a role for other technologies, such as Wi-Fi, for instance? No, I don't know who, maybe you yourself, Mikko.
Well, I can give it a shot, and maybe the colleagues can add to that. So, not necessarily. I mean, it requires a spectrum that is, approved for use with that technology. So you have kind of US, you have this CBRS system, which is kind of semi-licensed or semi-private spectrum. I'm sure Bala can talk more about that. But I think each of the technology have their space. It depends a lot on the use case. So for certain use cases, you want to apply fiber. If there's no mobility required. Wi-Fi is super good in many cases, like typically used in the office type of environment for the IT connectivity. And then there are other narrowband technologies like Sigfox and LoRa, other bands used for more of like Tetra technologies. So, I mean, we see private networks being built by DSOs, electricity distribution companies, for example, for their own use, because that way they can control fully the network. They can dictate how to use it, what's the uptime, SLA, quality of service required. So it doesn't necessarily have to be licensed spectrum, typically is, and it doesn't necessarily have to be 4G or 5G either. No, that would be my starting point. I guess Bala and Valenti and Jean-Christophe can maybe add to that.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you another question that comes from the introduction. You said, I was impressed that you have customers. Can you explain? I don't know if you are at liberty to say who, but can you at least explain us in which industries are they?
We are lucky to have as Cellnex and Edzcom now about 30, almost 34 or 35 customers, and most of them are public. I think pretty much all of them, and they are happy to be referenced. Like well, Jean-Christophe is here not because being referenced, but because I think he's happy so far. Our customers come from 5 segments. So utilities, let's say we have a company called Fortum, which is a power generating company, is one of our customers. We have a refinery called Neste, one of our customers. We have a chemical plant here at Tarragona with BASF, one of the customers. Helsinki airport operator Finavia is our customer, and Sandvik, mining equipment company, manufacturing side. ABB, I mean number of different companies like that. But they typically come from manufacturing, utilities, transportation, oil and gas, chemicals, and such segments.
Valenti, we were talking before the event about your business, and Cellnex is perceived as a tower operator. Edzcom, it's not in the tower business. Can you elaborate a little bit more about how does not Edzcom into Cellnex, but Cellnex, how the Cellnex infrastructure can add value to the Edzcom business?
Yeah, sure. Well, first starting from the assets, I mean, these towers assets for sure is another value for Edzcom when we present our proposal. But I would say that although Cellnex is an infrastructure company, we have a team which is 90% of engineers that learn very fast the edge connectivity. That means that for sure after the acquisition of Edzcom, we are trying to replicate this success model in the Cellnex countries. We are in 12 countries apart from Finland. So thanks to that capabilities, we're able to close deals like MGA, like Bayas in Spain, in Tarragona, and also because we see this business as a strategic for us, and we have dedicated people also from sales point of view that are addressing this market. So it is true that we need to change some behaviors inside Cellnex, but thanks to our top management and our leaders, we are changing that. Cellnex is been always a very innovative company. So a couple of months ago, Tobias already explained that we are jumping to the tower, extended tower, so meaning that we want more. And the acquisition of Edzcom is a clear, let's say, demonstration of that.
Right. Again, I'm offering the people in the floor if you want to ask something.
Bella has a question.
Bella, go ahead, please.
No, I was just going to... I was just going to follow on your earlier question on how does the technology mix work, and I think it's a really relevant question. We've reviewed more than 50 RFPs, we've done 2,000 NPN projects, and when you eventually, as an enterprise, right, you have to segment between what's in your LAN and what's in your wide area, right? And inside the LAN, enterprises essentially only had either something wired or Wi-Fi. There's no other LAN technology, right? If you go with LoRa and Sigfox and all of those, essentially they are all wide area solutions, so they will not be suitable for your mission critical stuff that you have inside your local area network. What you want is technology that works in LAN, and frankly, if you want to have it in a better quality than, or more controlled and manageable and machine-worthy quality than Wi-Fi, essentially it's going to be some form of a cellular technology. It's the only one that will give you the necessary level of control and quality in a LAN context. So the option, and then when we do this work, we look at the use cases of our customers, and we look traversal to them. You may have one use case that's better on Wi-Fi, you have another one that works on Zigbee, you have one that works on LoRa, you have all, right? But how many technologies do you want to deploy? How many? And you want to have the lowest number, right? And then MPN actually comes out quite nicely. And essentially, there's a big myth or misconception that a cellular network will always be more expensive. That's actually not true. A cellular network can be substantially more cost efficient than Wi-Fi, depending on the use case. It can also be the other way around. But in the LAN, getting the kind of quality that a cellular network and a dedicated managed network can give you, there's no alternative.
Right.
I'm sorry that my video is all chopped up. I'm at the end of a fiber. I have 100 megabits, but somehow there's something on the international link, I guess, that's messing up.
The thing is that we are hearing you clearly. So
good, great.
It's a video problem. Jean-Christophe, one last question regarding all this. Did you find yourselves in this situation of having to choose between cellular and other technologies, or did you go directly into cellular, into 5G?
Actually, yes. Yes, we had different networks, and what is important is that we, depending on the situation, we needed to use the best network. And what we are starting to do now with 5G is trying to, I would say, to push the limits to see when, in which different situations will the 5G, be efficient, and so that's what we are doing now, and we'll do in the coming years. So in terms of answer, what I would like to say is we want now to have a lot of new business case, and my message would be to say to any industrial partner to come to MGA Tech Lab and to come and come and visit us, and let's do some tests in real life to new use case to see actually the difference between what could provide 5G and what could provide Wi-Fi or LoRa or other networks. Just do it. Just test it with us. Our door is open, and we are a place where we want to showcase again 5G and what it can bring. So my answer would be let's push the limits of 5G to see if it can be versatile as we expect.
Thank you.
I'd add to this if I may. I'm sorry.
Excellent.
This was a fantastic, Jean-Christophe, fantastic statement, actually. Because it is so hard to, I've been battling the last 3 years of trying to find business cases for how 5G pays and why that's a good thing, right? And frankly, when you look at the use cases that enterprises have, it becomes very clear. And I'll give you an example. Say that you have people working in a warehouse, right? And say it's still people working, it's not robots, right? We'll come to the robots in a second. But if you have people working and they wear goggles, right? Then today you have all the compute in your goggles and in your glasses, and it drains on battery, weight, heat, you have all of these technology problems. Frankly, you want to offload the compute from the goggles to some server that's next door, right? Now, how do you offload 100 video feeds and you get real-time motion detection of the head to display the right thing in the right place? You cannot do that on Wi-Fi, right? You cannot do that on a public network because the data will flow to some node and then back. It's just too slow. So that productivity enhancement will be out the window without an MPN. Say you have a factory and you have robots whizzing about, right? Now let's make that 1,000 robots because we're in a warehouse actually and we're moving items around. How do you connect 1,000 phones to a sector and send a message? Without 5G, you cannot handle that sort of volume of devices. Forget Wi-Fi in that case. A Wi-Fi access point in industrial content can take 30 devices, right? Say you want to have video cameras. You have 500 video cameras on an average factory with some indoor and outdoor in multiple buildings. It's hundreds of video cameras, right? Yeah, you can pull cables to all of these places, but frankly, it doesn't make sense, right? So even in retailers, we've gone through like 400 of these use cases and seen how they are done today and when they will hit the wall and when then you will need the next level of connectivity. It's very clear how that evolution looks in many, many use cases.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for chipping up. Well, I think we better start to wrap this thing up. let me ask you one question to both of you gentlemen on site. Basically, what would be your last message to tell the audience and the people online and the industries about the private networks?
I'll let Mikko to do this statement, please.
Well, I guess at the end of the day, customers are what matters. So we would love to spend as much time as we can, with any of the potential customers. So please raise your hand if you're interested, talking more about this, and we'll come to you, or let us know. And I think that would be my hope. So reach out. If we can help you, we'll do our best, and we'll make you happy. That will be my closing statement, I guess.
Thank you. You have that. If you are in the Congress, you have Cellnex booth right beside the Mobile World Capital. Well, I think that sums it up. Thanks you, gentlemen, all of you. Jean-Christophe Simon from NGA Tech, Bela Virac from Arthur the Little, and Valenti Roca from Cellnex Telecom, and Mikko Uusitalo from Edzcom. And thanks to the audience, to everybody who came here today, and everybody who has been watching us online through the streaming. Thank you, and enjoy a good Mobile World Congress. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.